Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, Public Information Officer for the City of Vacaville, and this is another episode of the Vacaville View. In today's episode, we're going to meet a very famous movie star from a very popular movie. As soon as you see him, you'll recognize him. We're going to take a look at the most recent Recreation Expo that was held over at Three Oaks last month. And finally, we're going to take a look at the rebuilding of the Gonzales #1 here at the Jimmy Doolittle Air and Space Museum at the Nut Tree Airport. So stay tuned.
We have R2-D2 here at the library. He's come in a second time. He had come before to do pictures and some crafts, and this time his maker, Jonathan Burton, just gave us a talk about how he was made and what it takes to make an R2-D2 unit and what you do with them once they're made. Jonathan has 2 kids, and both of them have been coming to the library for years and years and years with him. He's brought them in, and his wife has brought them in. And at some point he says, hey, I've got this R2 unit. And we're like, what do you mean an R2 unit? What is an R2 unit? And so we got to talking, and we found out that he, yes, really has an actual movie-ready R2 unit that he built, and that he'd be willing to bring him in. And so that's what we did. We said, yeah, come on in. That's the most awesome thing we've ever heard. We're all about information and about more than books, about everything that you can imagine, because we have Star Wars books and Star Wars movies and Star Wars droids coming into the library to give us a talk.
Hi, I'm Megan, and I'm just a mother and a wife here in Vacaville and teach middle school up in Napa and just having a good time.
Yeah, my name is Jonathan Burton, and I am a longtime Vacaville resident. I went to Alamo and Vacaville High School and Buckingham, and building an R2 is definitely not the norm, right? It's something that I started as a child. I was a fan of Star Wars, and as I grew up I got into radio-controlled hobbies, and it just kind of went from there. I had first seen a gentleman that had created an R2-D2 that was radio controlled online, and from there it was one of those things that I knew I had to have. One way or another I had to make it happen. So
when he first said it, he showed me a few pictures. I was like, okay, sure, whatever, another hobby. And then it quickly was obvious it was taking form, and it was quite the endeavor, and it's been a good journey together. The
R2 Builders group in the Bay Area are all R2 builders as well. We spend the majority of our time when we're doing events. The majority of those are for charity or to benefit the community in some way. It might be raising awareness for robotics and visiting a high school robotics team, or it might be raising money for charities like Make-A-Wish Foundation or Ronald McDonald House. So R2 is very busy within the world with our group, and we occasionally get to do some of the the official appearances as well as commercial work. But my favorite is the charity. I think it's a very interesting way to give back to the community. So we had a little girl. Her name was Katie, and she was struggling with cancer, and her father was a very avid Star Wars fan, and she told her father, I want R2 right next to me, right by my bed, watching out for me, protecting me, just like R2 did for Princess Amidala, Queen Amidala, and he wanted to make that reality, and he came to our group, and there were members. This is kind of before my activity, but members that pooled a ton of resources to get this droid that would take years to build and get it done in months. It became known that R2-KT was not going to be finished in time based on Katie's prognosis. So one member actually donated his R2, had it repainted immediately, and had it there for her. And then later R2-KT was finally finished. Katie's picture is inside R2-KT, and this droid is going all over the world doing amazing things. Lucasfilm added R2-KT in one of the Clone Wars episodes. They also came out with one of the action figures and made an R2-KT action figure that was specifically kind of a collector's item at one of the Comic-Cons. So an amazing story, and one that just has made a huge impact on a lot of people. And you'll go to Star Wars events and you'll see these little girls with their R2-KT t-shirts, and Again, it's an opportunity that somebody took that was just a, an enjoyment, being a fan, and made something come to life and reach a level of importance that was just amazing. One of the great things is our working relationship with Lucasfilm. They're able to call us and use us when they need, and we're excited to do that and to be able to take part in that. There are some things that they really want to see, and one of them is that we're not benefiting financially from having an R2-D2. So it really is our time that we're donating and doing the charity work and things like that. They don't make kits, and they don't want to see kits made. They don't want to see that available on the market anywhere. So we work together as a group to manufacture parts within our group, and they're not sold outside of our group. You can't just show up and want to buy an R2. It just doesn't work that way. So based on the material you're using, you might be using styrene, and you're cutting styrene to all hours of the night in your garage. If you're making an aluminum R2 like this one, you might be waiting for that part that you've been waiting for months that finally is on a plane about to arrive. So I've been able to make some of the parts in this, and some of the parts, they have been in kind of group runs within our community. There might be 50 builders that are waiting on a part that we're pooling our resources together to make sure it happens. Mm-hmm. We have spent and poured in a huge investment, some of us, into these R2s. And in turn, we've also made a huge amount of money for some amazing charities. Mm-hmm. And that's something that Lucasfilm loves to see. They support that. Mm-hmm. So not only the R2 builders, but we also there's the 501st, which is a costuming group, and they're all over the world doing amazing things with this, this baseline, fandom of Star Wars. But they're doing some real amazing things that are real worthwhile too. So
there's definitely a family commitment. Part of it's through the process of building the R2 and to keeping the kids out of the parts, and cleaning up the dust and the paint fumes and different things. But at the same time, being able to make it work in a way that it works for family life as well. And the kids are able to enjoy a lot of it. They're used to having R2. They're used to him being a member of the family. Got a vehicle for him as well, to be able to include as a family member. So it is a big commitment, but at the same time, it's very worthwhile. Both to be able to see my husband with his pursuing his dreams and his happiness, and then for the children to be able to see that they can do anything that they want to. So
I mean, it really is developing their imagination. Mm-hmm. We've taken this character that is in this film, and we've brought him to life, and he's in our home, and the kids are there with us. I don't drop them off. I try to involve them as much as I can when I might be doing an appearance, whether I'm visiting a school or a hospital. I mean, there are so many different ways to be able to inspire not only the children that I'm visiting, but also the children that are right next to me that are mine. Mm-hmm. So my daughter and my son, they both want to build R2s, and how many kids can say that they live with R2-D2? What's interesting about R2 is, I was having a conversation with a colleague recently, and I kept saying him, and he kept reminding me, it is an it. This is a robot, and I kept thinking, he's become a him in our family. He just come on, So it's fun. So. Well,
and then when they see the other characters, when they all see different stormtroopers for different events or anything, they just keep walking by. It's just normal, and so we sometimes have to remind ourselves that our children and that their sense of reality is altered as a result of this as well. And so part of it is reminding them that this is something you can do, this is something you can enjoy, and they really participate in seeing the joy that it brings to their friends, to their school, their community. So
R2 visits the classroom, and the kids have hung out with Darth Vader and Chewbacca, and I mean it's a neat experience, and it might not be for everybody, but it's definitely been wonderful for us. So shortly after Star Wars was Star Wars and it came out in the theater, there were people at home wanting to build R2-D2 at home. Whether it was in cardboard or whatever it was, people wanted R2 at home as well. So that concept of being makers and building something like that and being creative and wanting this film to kind of come to life has always been there since the beginning. But what's interesting is, you know, we've been able to do events, and George Lucas has been present. He's come to visit. You know, he was able to see this R2. And, you know, one comment we always hear is he loves how reliable they are. He wishes we were around and filming the original because it was such a headache dealing with the original robotics and that. He's been incredibly supportive, and he's always excited to see that this thing has, you know, it's real. These R2s are rolling around, and there was so much movie magic in the films, and a lot of that magic we have made a reality in these robots. So it's been fun. So we took a big group picture over the summer with George Lucas and quite a few of our R2 Builder members, and it was just fun. It's exciting. So, and this R2's visited with many of the film stars, which has been great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the beauty of any of it is inspiring people to do something different, to try something new, especially when we look at kids and families, the youth being able to see that they can step outside of their normal box, being able to look at how can they participate with their community, with whatever that community may be, whether it's local or worldwide, and being able to do something new, something creative, and being able to really improve the lives of others as a result of it.
And there is this huge, this huge push in this maker society now. We have things like Maker Faire, Make Magazine. It's using your brain to create something. It's no longer, wanting to just sit in front of a TV and watch television all day. It's getting out and using your hands and using your abilities and your intelligence to make something and to create something. And I mean, it's very cool to see. And you go to events where that is the focus, and the things that people are making that's coming just from their own imagination is mind-blowing. It really is.
Well, and that's what's cool too, is being able to to get the youth interested in these things again. As I work in middle school and I work with some of the local high schools, and that being able to see that when the kids see that they can tinker with their hands, that when we're so used to everything being about reading and math, and a lot of that has been lost. That's absolutely right. But at the same time, that there is a movement for these kids to try doing it again.
No step by step. You create the step by step. Here's a bunch of stuff. Now make something, and we're not going to tell you what you need to make. I mean, it's very cool.
And using found objects, using just anything a lot of it goes with keeping the earth green and different movements with that. But really, truly, there's something cool in being able to create something that can move using found objects, using different things, and I think that the kids are buying into it.
Yeah.
Sure. When they are getting involved in that, they're finding that there are a lot more job opportunities, a lot more ways to be able to contribute to efforts around the world, as they're seeing that, wait a second, there are ways to be truly successful and using their brains and their hands in something different. So.
At the Tech Museum of San Jose, they're going to have an exhibit that's been traveling around the country that's going to be here I believe in October. That's called Star Wars: Where Science Meets Imagination. We were able to go to it in Los Angeles, and I'm excited to see it in Northern California. And it really is very interesting in that they're pairing Star Wars and this imaginative world, and then they're showing some of the things that are in real life that have been inspired by or whatnot. It's very cool, and it's filled with archived pieces from Lucasfilm. So it's going to be neat. They have a real R2-D2, a real C-3PO, just some neat things, and our group will be there, which will be fun. And it's neat to see, how they made some of this stuff too. It's great, and how it's inspired scientists and doctors. You have musicians that have been inspired by the score. Robotics wizards that have been inspired by R2 and C-3PO and this whole Star Wars world. So it's very, very cool. It's an amazing experience being able to see people and see their faces, see their reaction as they see R2. You know, that I've seen grown men almost cry because this was something from their childhood that they've just seen become real in a moment. And I've seen parents, fathers with their little kids that are showing their children this excitement that they had as a child and passing it now down to their children. And I just think it's a great experience. It's very fun. I love to do events. You know, I could build him and have him sit at home. You know, my family could enjoy them and he could just be there. But for me, that's not it. It's getting out in the community and being able to, with this, maybe raise awareness for something that's really special. And not only that, but just spread the fun that is Star Wars.
Some of the other events that are coming up include the Inventors Lab from the Lawrence Hall of Science in Berkeley, and they are coming to do a program on structural engineering, and they will be having kids build things out of straws and toothpicks and popsicle sticks and various other odds and ends, and testing them. Then we'll also, on the 23rd, for teenagers, if they want to volunteer at the library over the summer, there'll be an orientation for what kinds of volunteer opportunities are there. And then the summer reading program starts. It's coming right up. It's in June. It starts on the 13th, I believe. And that is reading books and getting prizes. Every Thursday during the summer, come on in and we'll have an event, and then once a week at least come in and there'll be surprises at the library. So come in and check those out, and we'll see you here.
We're here at the Jimmy Doolittle Museum at the Nut Tree Airport in Vacaville, the temporary home of the museum. And with us today is Bob Gonzalez, who used to own the plane you see behind us. It's the Gonzalez #1. It's now owned by the Jimmy Doolittle Air and Space Museum. You donated it to the museum, correct?
Yes, I did.
And about how long ago did you donate it?
1983, went to Travis Historical Society, which will be now the Doolittle Museum.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this airplane is more than just I would call it historical, but there's quite a story behind it. Why don't you share the story of how this airplane came into existence? It's kind of neat.
Oh, you mean right from the start?
Right from the start.
When my
your uncle's...
Well, when my grandmother had it,
okay,
she had it in her basement, and I saw this fuselage right here. I saw just a fuselage hanging up in her basement, and I said, I built airplanes at that time, little model airplanes, you know, and I said, I'd like to have that airplane one of these days, and that's all I said. And then later on, after I got out of the Air Force in World War II, I said to my aunt Aurora, I said, you know, I'd like to have that airplane once my uncles pass away, and
when everybody's done with it, you want it.
Yeah. And fortunately, I got it at the right time, because this engine right here, it was ready to go to the scrappers. And, you know, they were going to give them 5 cents on
there you go, yeah.
for the $5 maybe for the whole engine, which is only about 3 engines in the world like that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, she said, well, they're all passed away, so come down and get the airplane. Well,
It's all yours.
then I didn't know what to expect. You know, so fortunately, I was going down there on business, and I had a trailer, and so I stopped there, and I went and I looked at it, and I saw all these sheds down below, and a shed with the engine, and the engine sticking out, and it was on the fuselage.
It's still connected to the plane.
It's still on the plane,
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
So it had a great big flywheel on it, and a homemade propeller. So I turned it over, and it had compression.
Oh, it worked.
It was compression.
still working,
Man, it was
sure.
sitting all those years,
Yeah.
and all it had was a shed over a corrugated shed over the top of it.
It wasn't really protected. But
No, it wasn't.
enough,
Nothing on
apparently.
the sides. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So anyway, I loaded everything I could on that trailer that time, and then I had to make a second trip down. But before that, the below everything was in chicken sheds, and pigeons all over the place. And you know what happened? Those wheels back there, they were completely white from not paint.
And those wheels are gray now.
They're red.
So red. Oh, I see. Yeah, right.
Colorblind.
But they were covered with something. They were coated, so to speak.
Oh yeah. But anyway, I cleaned it all up. The wings and everything were not quite as bad, but they were all in crates. And go ahead.
So then you bring this home, and where were you living at the time? In
Concord.
In Concord.
Yeah.
And did you put it together at any point? Yeah.
Now I put it together as we'd go to air shows with it, and I had to get the engine running, so I completely took the engine apart and rebuilt it, and make sure everything was okay.
Sure.
Put new pistons in it, and make sure it ran and all that. And then I would head for the air shows, Hollister. No, I went to Merced and Watsonville.
You flew it there, right? No, I'm just joking.
Oh,
it's a joke.
come
It's a joke.
on.
It's a joke. So anyway, you take it, you drive it over there and put it together at the air show.
Well, I built a trailer for it, and then we take it down. Of course, Snoopy was there with his helmet on.
I see him in there
and
in the
his
cockpit,
scarf,
yeah.
his scarf, and go by kids, and they'd wave
They'd
at
laugh,
him.
yeah. Sure.
So anyway, run the engine, and it would draw a crowd. I mean, I had 4 or 5 layers of people.
Well, it's not surprising. You look at this engine; there's no muffler or anything on it. It's exhaust pipes right out the side, so I can imagine that thing is pretty loud.
It really barked.
No, we can't start it today. That's right.
No,
Darn it.
no, we'll get started.
But so your aunt has this airplane, and it would belong to your uncles.
Yeah.
And at the time they were living in San Francisco. They built the plane in San Francisco.
In San Francisco, yeah.
There's 18, 19-year-old kids. What do you want to do? I don't know. Let's build an airplane. And that's basically how it happened.
Yeah, well, they had a 3rd grade education. Well,
It shows the importance of a college degree, But anyway, they built a plane. You got to the 3rd grade or maybe it's more of an indictment of our public education system today that a 3rd grader can build a plane back in the day. But anyway, so tell us about your uncles.
Well, they had a lot of drawings that they drew themselves. They drew. Remember the old ditch digger that goes around like that? They drew a picture of that with horse drawn. And a lot of things like that. Walking on water, and they were very intelligent about that. But what drove them away from school was the earthquake in San Francisco.
Sure.
They lived under the stairs for about 3 months.
Wow.
That's the way most of them did anyway. But getting back to the airplane. I went down and picked it up, of course, and brought it back, and we're doing air shows with it. And each air show, I'd put a little more airplane together. Pretty soon the wings started. It was never this far.
Right.
And they only got this far when I went to Travis.
Oh, Travis.
Travis Historical Society Museum, and we put it together. This was the first airplane in the museum, inside. And so it just stayed there for about 15 years. And we put it all together, and then when it down to Hiller's, we took it all apart, put it together down there, and then bringing it back. And this is where we are right now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. How long does it take from start to finish to put this thing together? You got a lot of guys working on this thing, so.
2 of us put it together in 2 days. But the way we took it apart at Travis, 2 of us took it apart. And we knew how, you know, everything like, oh, the wires are the biggest thing.
Yeah, right.
And to get the wires straight and everything, we took it apart like an accordion. We took all the struts and everything together like this. And then when we put the wings back on, we just stretched it out.
Unfolded. You know, watch these, I don't know if you see them on TV, the restoration shows where somebody brings in this antique and says, I want it restored, and they take it completely apart, you know, and I'm like, oh, how are they going to get that thing back together? But if you're the guy that takes it apart, generally you're going to probably remember if you're mechanically inclined, you'll remember, and you've done it enough now. I mean, we could probably blindfold you and you'd be able to do it, right?
No, don't ever do that.
No, okay, yeah, not a good idea.
No,
just you know, why not? We give it a shot.
It's not a cash register.
But, no, okay, I got you. Yeah.
No, it's you know, it can only go one way. Maybe the wrong wires, you'll have to change wires and things like that. But normally, all the panels. Fortunately, they marked a lot of them when we took it apart at Hiller.
Sure. So slot A goes into tab B, and it's easier now than maybe in the past. But yeah, it's back together. It's looking pretty sharp.
When we put it together in Concord, we put it all together before we even took it to air shows, and we did it all by pictures.
Yeah, looking at the photographs, this must go here. And
right.
Wow.
What they did was to blow up pictures, and then we got well, you could see the framework, and you can see.
Now, obviously, this plane can't fly, but when it was in flying shape, it had skin on it, right? It had covering, some kind of canvas or something, or
it had muslin on it.
Muslin.
Probably my grandmother's bed sheets.
Some sheets, yeah. Hey, she goes to make the bed. Hey, where's the sheets? And then there they are flying by. So she was pretty patient then, I guess.
Yeah, you'll see on the other ailerons I have down the other end. That's the original ailerons, and that has the muzzle on.
Wow. Well, it's got to. They must have been. I don't want to say crazy, but they had a lot of guts to fly
they have
this
a lot
thing.
more than we have now.
I wouldn't. No thanks. I mean, I remember as a kid riding my bike down the hill, and I thought I was crazy. This is.
Well, you were twice as big as they are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, more of a cushion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's impressive for people that, you know, a couple of guys who, you know, basically didn't get out of elementary school, built a plane and flew it.
Yeah. Well, then Willie was the one that did probably a lot of the building with Arthur. Arthur was going blind at that time, so Arthur couldn't fly, but they built a lot of models, different models and types, and Arthur was good at that.
Yeah. So, but 2 of them could fly, or it was enough for 2 guys. They both would fly in the plane.
I don't think they only had one fly.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I think it was that time. It was experimental, and they're trying to find what the airplane will do.
What it'll do.
My uncle Eddie, he's the one that flew it the first time.
I see.
He's the older one, older than them. Then my dad was older than them. So my dad did all the paperwork for him, writing letters and stuff like that.
Sure.
So,
well, you're a pretty young guy, so I'm imagining you didn't ever fly this, right?
Not this one. No.
You flew a bunch of other planes.
I fly. Yeah.
Yeah, you own a plane, right? And you fly. Now, when you were in the service, did you fly planes?
No, I was control tower in the 8th Air Force.
In the tower. Okay, cool. Excellent.
So I was in a B-17 group, 92nd Bomb Group, over in England, Poddington.
Yeah.
And I was over there 31 months. And,
wow.
You know, we didn't have a telephone we could call home or.
Did you pull out your your iPhone and send a text to mom? No.
Apple, yeah, we had an
Apple.
We had V letters.
Okay.
You know what a V letter is?
I have no idea.
They were little letters like this, and they were all photographed. And then they were the colonels or the generals or the sergeant or the whoever. They would go in there and you'd say, I don't like this
Make
captain.
Sure you aren't.
I scratched that name out. By the time my mother got the letters,
it was all scratched out.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, it was a different time security-wise back in those days, right? Then once you're revealing some information that could affect, you know, the outcome of the war, I guess. I mean, really, but
we were tight security over there. Especially just before D-Day. And we were that morning we did 3 missions, and we started at 5 o'clock, and 3 missions through the day, and then after that we very seldom went over there and bombed anything.
Right. Wow.
So we were finished bombing, and that was it.
That was that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it through the war. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So, 1903, the Wright brothers have their famous flight at Kitty Hawk. This plane was built when?
They probably started about 1909. I don't,
Okay.
you know, there's no history on when they really started,
right.
but they probably could have started earlier than that. But when it first flew, it was 1912.
So it wasn't that much longer, not too much time had elapsed since the Wright brothers before this plane was up in the air flying around. Now, and you mentioned that there were other folks who had built planes and were flying, so it was definitely catching on, right?
Oh,
People wanted to fly.
Yeah. There's quite a few of them. Jacuzzi was flying at that time. The Black Diamond airplane in around Antioch was flying, and of course they didn't do too much flying, but they did get it off the ground.
Right.
And there was a few other ones there. Beachy was flying out of here. He's a very famous pilot, but they did fly a short time in up in Woodland, at a place called Target.
Right. You were telling us.
Yeah. So there was quite a bit of flying in those days, and they would also fly gliders. They had a lot of gliders that they flew, and this is how they got their action. They could do this in San Francisco, where they couldn't do it. They don't need to take a glider up to Woodland.
Right.
So. But they'd fire this engine up here, and the city would get on them about making so much noise.
Yeah,
so.
I can imagine that thing is loud.
Oh,
like
very
you said.
loud, yeah.
But so this is really, it's pretty historic. This is the dawn of flying in the United States, in the world, you know?
Yeah.
And it's an incredible, it's hard to look at that thing and think it flew, and people, but it did, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
well, we have pictures to prove it.
Right.
You know,
So
nobody can doubt a word.
no, and it's great.
And how you can tell when it was flying, those ailerons over there, the old ones that I showed you, they were hanging down so you can see the shape and how they flew. As soon as they took off, those ailerons would go up in the air like that, and then to make a turn, they'd pull one down or pull the other one down.
Yeah.
Well, the Wright brothers came out here, and they wanted to see if they were infringing on their patents.
Oh boy.
So, but fortunately they didn't. They loaned them some money. I don't know. They probably loaned them $10.
Well, it's $10 a lot of money in 1920.
I can't say that for sure, but But my uncles did tell me that they did come out here and loan them some money. Yeah.
Now, did they take the train or did they? No, I'm sorry. They flew out. The Wright brothers. No, they
flew out.
They probably
took a Model A out here. Model T.
Maybe. Yeah. Who knows? Anyway.
No.
So they met the Wright brothers too.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the Wright
family
brothers
has quite a history in aviation.
The Wright brothers did a lot of traveling around, mainly to see if patent infringements were
they were keeping an eye on their property.
Well, sure, I can't blame them.
Right, sure. Absolutely.
And everything you see on this airplane is bicycle. Wright brothers, everything was bicycle on there.
Right.
Like the yoke and the crank and all that, they're all bicycle.
Wow.
And everything is spokes. Spokes.
Somebody when I walked in, somebody asked me if I had a spoke wrench. I'm like, geez, I don't have one on me, but let me go out to my car and check. It's not one. It's not a piece of equipment that people keep with them. Let me go check my toolbox. But and that, like you said, that's how the Wright brothers plane was. Bicycle parts, right? Same idea. So, thank you very much for bringing the plane here and putting it together and sharing this really great story about.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy it.
Number one.
Hope you enjoy it.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and I hope a lot of folks come out and check out the new museum and support the effort.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful museum.
It's going to be great. So once again, thank you very much. Well, that's it for this episode of the Vacaville View. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to give me a call at 449-5371. or send me an email, channel26@cityofvacaville.com. Thanks for watching.